Greetings, and welcome to the third quarter 2015 IDEX Corporation earnings conference call. At this time, all participants are in a listen-only mode. A question-and-answer session will follow the formal presentation. If anyone should require operator assistance during the conference, please press star zero on your telephone keypad. I would now like to turn the conference over to your host, Michael Yates, VP and Chief Accounting Officer. Thank you, Mr. Yates. You may begin.
Thank you, Tim. Good morning, everyone. This is Mike Yates, Vice President and Chief Accounting Officer for IDEX Corporation. Thank you for joining us for our discussion of the IDEX third quarter financial highlights. Last night we issued a press release outlining our company's financial and operating performance for the 3-month period ending September 30th, 2015. The press release, along with the presentation slides to be used during today's webcast, can be accessed on our company's website at www.idexcorp.com. Joining me today is Andy Silvernail, our Chairman and CEO, and Heath Mitts, our CFO. The format for our call today is as follows. We will begin with Andy providing an overview of the third quarter financial results, and then he will provide an update on what we are seeing in the world and discuss our capital deployment. He will then walk you through the operating performance within each of our segments, and finally we will wrap up with an outlook for the fourth quarter and full year 2015. Following our prepared remarks, we'll open the call for your questions. If you should need to exit the call for any reason, you may access a complete replay beginning approximately 2 hours after the call concludes by dialing the toll-free number 877-660-6853 and entering conference ID 13604137, or you simply may log into the company's homepage for the webcast replay. As we begin, a brief reminder, this call may contain certain forward-looking statements that are subject to the safe harbor language in today's press release and in IDEX's filings with the Securities and Exchange Commission. With that, I'll turn this call over to our Chairman and CEO, Andy Silvernail.
Thanks, Mike, and good morning, everybody. I appreciate you joining us here for the third quarter 2015 call. As we all know, 2015 has been pretty challenging. We talked about in previous calls the softness we've seen in the ag market, in oil and gas, in the strong U.S. dollar. And in the second quarter, we noted that we had seen some slippage in industrial distribution in the first half of the quarter, and we definitely saw that come back in the third quarter. And while these market conditions are out there and they remain, we have been very focused on delivering quality of earnings and cash flow, making sure that we're funding our best investments internally, and also really leveraging the benefits of our well-positioned, diversified portfolio. I'm pleased overall with the execution that we had in the third quarter, and we saw some pretty decent numbers given the conditions. We delivered 89 cents of adjusted EPS, which was a penny ahead of last year. We had operating margins that were 21.5%, which is 70 basis points better than last year. In particular, we had impressive margins increase of 460 basis points in fire safety and diversified. And I'll take some time here a little bit later in the call to give some more color there. We also had free cash flow of $105 million, which was 132% of net income. And we continued to focus on capital deployment. We closed the Sidra acquisition. We divested a small product line business in Ismatec that had an $18.1 million gain. And we repurchased 911,000 shares for $66 million in the quarter. As I talked about in the second quarter, we've also taken further steps to improve our cost structure through restructuring in all segments. In total, we now expect to spend about $8 to $10 million in the year, with significant savings in 2016. For the full year, we now expect EPS to be $3.50 to $3.53. And even though we have the challenges that I've noted here in 2015, we're going to take them head on. We're going to continue to invest in our businesses. We're going to grow in select areas, and we're going to drive productivity across all segments. Again, I'll get into some color here more in a moment, but before I do that, let me talk about what we're seeing in regions around the world, some end markets, and also talk about capital deployment. In North America, as we all know, oil and gas and the ag markets have continued to be pretty difficult. As I mentioned before, industrial distribution did soften in the second quarter and continued into the third, and we do expect these conditions to continue here in the fourth quarter. Europe remains stable, although we have seen pockets of growth, particularly in water and dispensing, and we have seen some uptick in our energy business coming out of our European units. This has been offset by the continued weakness we're seeing in Eastern Europe from the political instability. China, the story really remains the same. It's been in line with our expectations. It has been weak here for some time, but we don't expect it to